Half an hour. Now, Defence Minister David Johnson has made a surprise visit to Baghdad overnight. Mr Johnson has met with the new Iraqi Prime Minister to discuss Australia's contribution to the coalition which will help battle Islamic State militants in that country.
We are here today to underline the fact that we are seeking to help Iraq in its time of need in the face of what is quite atrocious conduct, humanitarian abuse, crucifixions, mass executions, beheadings, etc. that we've seen carried out in regional towns across northern Iraq.
Back home, Tony Abbott had equally strong words for terrorists targeting Australian soil, vowing to jail them for a very long time. The Prime Minister's speech to Parliament came just before Islamic State extremists urged supporters to directly target Australians. The Deputy Chair of Parliament's Intelligence Security Committee, Anthony Byrne, joins me now from Canberra. Anthony, morning to you. Now, the PM spoke about just how seriously the government is taking the threat of foreign fighters returning home. Let's take a look.
My unambiguous message to all Australians who fight with terrorist groups is that you will be arrested, prosecuted and jailed for a very long time indeed. The only safe place for those who have been brutalised and militarised by fighting with terrorists is inside a maximum security prison.
Anthony, just how real do you think the terror threat is here in Australia?
First of all, Kochi, thank you very much for having me on. The terrorism threat is real. I gave a speech in Parliament some 2 months ago outlining my concerns about the threat to terrorism and terrorism events occurring in this country. I want to say something first off that's important, and that is a big thank you to the security and intelligence agencies that prevented this terrorist attack that was being perpetrated or was being planned to be perpetrated on Australian soil some couple of days ago. That was as a consequence of very good intelligence and police work.
Yep, absolutely. Those agencies are going to get a big increase in powers, but you want them closely monitored. Any major changes there? Why?
Well, as an example, Kochi, the first tranche of legislation that came before our parliamentary committee, we made 17 improvements to that legislation. So we're making these laws that are coming before the Parliament stronger and better laws through the parliamentary process. The point that I made, however, is that at the moment, the PJCIS, which is the committee that I'm Deputy Chair of, one of the most powerful committees in the country that oversights our intelligence agencies, doesn't oversight the AFP. And I think that's something that needs to be fixed up.
Because we've got to, if we're going to have a massive increase in power, which I think few would disagree with, you do want it monitored, and you do want it consistently monitored across all agencies for fear some might abuse it.
I wouldn't say abuse it, but it actually acts as a protective mechanism for the agencies, Kochi, as well as the public. I mean, what we want to do is give the agencies the powers they need, but not in such a way that interferes with the Australian way of life. We've got the balance right in the past, but that needs parliamentary oversight.
OK, some people are saying these powers could allow torture of suspects.
There was an interpretation of that, and the opposition worked very constructively with the government to remove that ambiguity. That's the parliamentary system at work, Kochi, strengthening our laws and making sure that we've got the appropriate safeguards.
Yeah, and we certainly want the appropriate powers as well. Thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks very much, Kochi.